Hi and welcome to part 1 of Trigonometry revision. Today what I will be going through is formulas for right-angled triangles and that's going to be including Pythagoras and the trig ratios. So let's begin with Pythagoras. We can recall Pythagoras c squared equals a squared plus b squared, and if we were to label these on a triangle such as what we have here, the c is going to be the long side followed by the a there and the b. Let's say our a was x, is what we're trying to find, and here we have 10 and b is 2. What we need to do is to write it in our formula here, so we know the c is 10, so we can write 10 squared, which equals a squared, which is the x squared, plus b squared, which is the 2. So we have 2 squared like that. So now what we need to do is find the x squared. Our first step will be moving the 2 squared to the left hand side. So we need to minus it, okay? So minusing it to the left hand side. And then that's going to leave us with the x squared because we've taken it and moving it to the left. So now on the right hand side, all we have is the x squared. And on the left hand side, we have 10 squared minus 2 squared. So our next step will be to solve. We put the 10 squared minus 2 squared in your calculator, which gives you 96, equaling to x squared. So now moving on to our trig ratios, we're going to be looking at 3. So we have sine theta, which is opposite over hypotenuse, cos theta, which is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tan theta, which is opposite over adjacent. And here we have our right angle triangle. We have our symbol for our right angle, we have our angle, and our hypotenuse is going to be our long side. Our adjacent is going to be the side between the angle and the right angle, and then the opposite side there. So now looking at some examples. Here on the bottom left, we have our right angle triangle and we need to find x. Firstly, we need to see which one of these 3 trig ratios we're going to be using. So let's see what we have. We have an x on the hypotenuse, so there's our hypotenuse there. And actually I'll write this in red for you. Our h there. And we have our 6 on our opposite side, so O. So now we see which one of these trig ratios is going to have an opposite hypotenuse and an angle, and that's going to be the sine rule. Let's begin by writing it out. So sine theta is going to be opposite over hypotenuse, and now let's fill in all the numbers. So our angle here is going to go there, so sine in brackets 64, which is going to equal, we have O as 6, so we have here 6 over the hypotenuse as x. So our next step is finding what the x is. The way we can do this is by moving the x to the left hand side, and we can do that by timesing x. So if we times x to the other side, okay, that's going to cross out that x, and now we have it here on the left hand side. Our following step now is to move the sine 64 to the right hand side, and we can do that by dividing sine 64. And then here we're going to be dividing by sine 64. So what that's going to look like when we cross out our sine 64 on the left hand side, x equaling to 6 divided by sine 64. So there you have it. So we've moved now the x to the left and the sine 64 to the right. So in short, you can basically switch them around. Okay, so I just did the full working out there so you can see the whole process. But now you can see that you can switch them around to get 6 over sine 64. And all that's left now is to put that in your calculator. And your answer to 1 decimal place is 6.7. So that's going to be your x. So now moving on to our second example, we see we have an 8 on the hypotenuse, so we have our hypotenuse there, and here we have our 5 between the right angle and the angle, and that's going to be our adjacent, so we can put the letter A there for adjacent. So our second step now is to see which one of these 3 trig ratios we're going to be using. So we see that cos theta has an adjacent and hypotenuse. That's going to fit what we have here. So let's always begin by writing out our trig ratio equals A, which is 5, over 8. Now to find our angle, what we need to do is to press Shift cos 5 over 8, so that's going to be moving the cos to the other side, and that's going to be looking something along the lines of this. So the way we get cos to the other side is by, in our calculators, pressing Shift cos, and then we're going to be putting this fraction in. And to the nearest degree, your answer will be 51 degrees.